Begin the show with the Brow talking for the first time since this trade request as we're inside a week of that trade deadline. The Lakers, the clock is ticking against them. First, let's go back to Monday. Davis's agent, Rich Paul, informed the Pelicans that the All-Star center has no intention of signing a long-term contract and wants a trade. The very next day, Davis was fined $50,000 by the league for violating a CBA rule prohibiting players or their reps from making public trade demands. Then, prior to the Pelicans game on Wednesday against the Nuggets, Davis was removed from the team's pregame hype video. A league source telling ESPN that his removal from the video was to prevent negativity, a.k.a. booing. Yesterday, Davis was named the Western Conference All-Star Reserve. Although it's unclear if the Brow will take part, he has missed the last 6 games with a sprained index finger. And then today, speaking out for the very first time publicly since that trade request, the 6-time All-Star had this to say.
I feel like it's my time. I gave the city, organization, fans, everything I feel like I could. You don't know how long you're going to play this game, and I feel like I'm in my prime right now. I'm playing at an elite level, and, I want to make sure that I take advantage of that. People's careers are short, and I feel like it's my time to move on.
Was there an ultimatum issued about wanting to go to the Lakers?
No, I never gave me or my representation never gave Pelicans, a destination or anything, so I'm not sure where it's coming from.
When and why did this organization not give you the confidence that you could win a championship here, that you could win at a high level, like you said, that's the reason that you wanted to leave?
Like I said, I just feel like it's my time, and it's just as simple as that. Thinking about my career and, my future, your legacy, or my legacy, and doing what's best for me.
How much does legacy matter to you?
A ton. I've had that question before, legacy over money, and I'm all about legacy. The money comes and goes. When I get done playing or leave this earth, what is my legacy going to be? My intentions is to play. I've been working to get my finger back healthy. Obviously, it's a tough situation, but my intention is to still play. And when I'm able to play, I plan on suiting up.
When you switched representation, was this something that you thought you were already leaning toward with your next contract?
No.
Great to have Woj with us, and you broke this story. You've been in front of it the entire week. Outside the Lakers, how are executives approaching this possibility that Davis could be a one-year rental?
Well, this is a game of leverage right now, and what Anthony Davis and his representation want to do is push a deal toward the Lakers. They have until Thursday's trade deadline to do that, and what you're trying to do is get the rest of the NBA to back off, not make significant offers, and allow the Lakers to come in and have the best possible offer and get New Orleans to do that deal. Now, New Orleans has seen nothing yet that would make them think they want to do any deal before the trade deadline. They still see this as a long play into the summer.
Yeah, so you're pushing the Pelicans in a box here with this deadline approaching because you want one team. So how are the Pelicans approaching this week and the idea that they don't trade Davis, they hold him for the rest of the season?
They went through this with Chris Paul as an organization several years ago, and they've gone back and they look at the deal they did then. And the one thing they know is it's better to do no deal than a deal you don't feel good about. And remember, the Saints, are at the head of this ownership group. Mickey Loomis works along with, he runs the Saints, and he works with Dell Demps, their GM in basketball. And, there's a mentality there of just not catering or giving in, especially. That's a little bit more of an NFL sensibility. And so right now in New Orleans, they need to be blown away by an offer because they have time on their side. He's under contract for next season. And most of all, they'd like to get the Celtics into the bidding in this process, and they can't do that till after the season as long as Kyrie Irving is still in Boston.
All right, we'll see how this plays. Woj, hang tight right now. We'll get your thoughts on the other big NBA story. That is Kyrie's future in Boston.
I appreciate that, Scout. I joined in, but I shared it with some of my teammates as well as the organization and everyone else in Boston. You guys will have me back. I plan on re-signing here next year.
Whoa! That was what Kyrie said almost exactly 4 months ago, but things seem to have changed. Let us review. The #1 overall pick in 2011 is having arguably the best season of his career, averaging career highs in field goal percentage, three-point percentage, and assists per game, all while scoring nearly 24 points per contest. However, his team as a whole has not lived up to expectations this season. Very streaky, very inconsistent. They're still tied with Toronto with the best odds to win the Eastern Conference, but they're currently in 5th place in the East, 5.5 games back of the Milwaukee Bucks. Further complicating things, the Celtics are still trying to find a way to trade for Anthony Davis around draft time and then re-sign Kyrie. But they might miss out on Davis altogether, with Kyrie's future now even more uncertain, especially after what he said today. Listen.
Well, at the end of the day, I'm going to do what I feel is best for my career. And, that's just where it stands. And my focus this season is winning the championship with the Boston Celtics. Obviously we had goals coming into the season, and primary goal is to win championship. So that's where my focus is.
Has your mindset shifted, though, in regards to re-signing with Boston, like the announcement?
Ask me July 1st. This has become like an entertainment thing for everybody. So, somebody else is asking for a trade, and I'm thrown into that, and uncertainty comes back on me. And, at the end of the day, I don't live in this little hub that, everything, some people call me about this, this dumb, of course my name gets to keep thrown on in this. I'm not worried about a reputation. I'm not worried about a legacy to leave. I'm just trying to be a human being, trying to make the best decision for me and my family. So, obviously, things this season haven't gone as I planned. And that's part of being on a team where you're still trying to figure things out. So, I'm always going to be mature about that, professional, come to do my job every single day, and really just see what happens. That's what it really comes down to. I spent the last 8 years trying to do what everybody else wanted me to do in terms of making my decisions and trying to validate through the media, through other personnel, managers, anybody in this business, and I don't owe anybody. So I still have confidence in Boston and what they can promise for the future and what we have in terms of our pieces. And that's what excited me a lot about the beginning of the season, was the opportunity to, come into this season really just doing what we planned on doing, set a goal and go after it, and then see what happens at the end of the season. So that was the plan before, and that's still the plan now. Obviously Boston's still at the head of that race, and that's just where it stands.
All right, Roj, so we have gone from Kyrie telling everybody that he wants to re-sign with the Celtics to what he said right there, being completely non-committal. What changed?
Well, the struggles of this team, this was a team that had an expectation that they would be chasing an Eastern Conference championship, that they could compete with the Warriors in the NBA Finals, and they've underachieved, and they're still trying to figure out how the pieces fit there. Kyrie Irving has been working through what it means to be the leader of a team and have his own team. And, some of the frustrations that he expressed today and what he's going through, these are conversations he has with the organization. They know that he's been frustrated, and they're frustrated with a lot of what has gone on this year. But, there's no question. This was jarring for people who really haven't heard him talk publicly about his future in Boston since the night in the preseason where he got up in front of an arena and said he was staying, and then a commercial where he talks about wanting to get his number retired in Boston.
Yeah, it's really hard to track. I mean, so we will. Ask me July 1st, we will. That's the date he can declare for free agency. But, Woj, if they can find a way to bring Anthony Davis to Boston, how much does that affect Kyrie's decision?
Well, the organization believes it's almost an imperative that I think they have a lot of confidence that if they get Anthony Davis, that they will be able to secure Kyrie Irving and then work, then they have Anthony Davis under contract for next season, and then they go forward together. But what the worst case scenario for the Celtics right now, and certainly what gives them pause for concern, is if this team underachieves, if it doesn't make the run in the playoffs that they all expected, and then all of a sudden Anthony Davis either gets traded somewhere else before the deadline or stays in New Orleans and they don't get a deal for him, that would cause concern in Boston. But there's still confidence there that regardless of what Anthony Davis is saying privately, the idea that he only would re-sign with L.A., Boston still likes their chances if they get him on the roster to convincing him to stay with Kyrie Irving going forward.
A year and a half after asking Cleveland to trade him, then going to Boston, Kyrie Irving's future once again up in the air. Woj, Thanks for the latest on this story.
Thanks, Sam.
Kyrie Irving and the Boston Celtics in New York City tonight. There he is arriving. He's missed 3 of his last 4 games with a left hip strain, but when he has played in January, he has been excellent, averaging almost 26 points per game. And 8 assists this month. Not bad. Boston at New York, 7:30 Eastern time here on ESPN.
Any
player on the planet. I concur. Meanwhile, welcome to Coast, Kerry Champion here, David Lloyd there. Another day, another non-commitment. Kyrie isn't saying yes to Boston, but he's not also saying no. Right, David?
It's kind of, yeah. Dominoes are starting to fall, Kerry, in reaction to the Porzingis trade yesterday. The Knicks freeing up cap space for a run at free agents this summer. And one of their targets expected to be Kyrie Irving, who has suddenly changed his tune about his future. He can be a free agent this summer, but remember, publicly proclaimed his intent to stay with the Celtics back in October. Have a listen to this.
Oh.
I appreciate that, Scout. I joined in, but I shared it with some of my teammates as well as the organization and everyone else in Boston. If you guys will have me back, I plan on re-signing here next year.
Boom!
So.
Okay, he said that. Didn't sound like he was leaving a lot of wiggle room last fall, but today, less than 4 months later, his attitude seemed a lot more open to fielding offers this summer.
Has your mindset shifted, though, in regards to re-signing with Boston, like the announcement?
Ask me July 1st. You know, well, at the end of the day, I'm going to do what I feel is best for my career. And, you know, that's just where it stands. And my focus this season is winning the championship with the Boston Celtics. You know, obviously we had goals coming into the season, and the primary goal is to win the championship. So that's where my focus is. I mean, I'm going to just do what's best for me. That's where it really comes down to. Obviously, this has become like an entertainment thing for everybody. So, you know, somebody else is asking for a trade, and I'm thrown into that, and uncertainty comes back on me. And, you know, at the end of the day, like, I don't live in this little hub that, you know, everything, some people call me about this, you know, this dumb shit. You know, of course, my name gets to keep throwing on in this. I'm not worried about a reputation. I'm not worried about a legacy to leave. I'm just trying to be a human being, trying to make the best decision for me and my family. So, you know, obviously, you know, things this season haven't gone as I planned. And, you know, and that's part of being on a team where you're still trying to figure things out. So, you know, I'm always going to be mature about that, professional, come to do my job every single day, and really just see what happens. You know, that's what it really comes down to.
All right, really see what happens. Meanwhile, let's see what happens in terms of context. ESPN NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski joining me now on Coast to Coast. Kyrie said a lot. I'm surprised by that. However, what do you make of all of this?
Well, I think what Kyrie is saying publicly is a sense that Boston has gotten privately, which is he is frustrated with the season. They all are in Boston. They thought the team would be in a different place in the standings, and they thought, you know, they'd be further along as a front runner, as a favorite in the Eastern Conference. And, you know, Boston believes this, that their job beyond winning as much as they can this year, having as much success, because that's going to factor into this, that when we get to draft night in June, that Boston has the best possible roster to have around Kyrie Irving headed into free agency, and him, you know, ultimately deciding to go out and take meetings elsewhere or to sign with Boston. And a big part of that is going to be Anthony Davis. And for the Celtics, the worst case scenario for Boston, and they know this, is the team underachieves and they don't go as far as they thought they might. And Anthony Davis either gets traded somewhere else or you know, stays in New Orleans and the Celtics don't get at him. But I think they feel like if they've got Davis, if this team has success and there's belief on Kyrie Irving's part, that they're still in a great position to keep him. But the public has seen, you know, the press conference or the arena moment with Kyrie earlier in the year, and a commercial where he talks about getting his jersey retired. This is a departure from that.
Okay, so it's a far departure from that. Again, we just played him saying, if you all will have me, I plan on staying here. And this is pretty much a turnaround. Ask me July 1. So if I am Boston, and I have to think the front office, the franchise, has conversations with Kyrie, and this isn't a surprise to them, perhaps a surprise to us, but I have to believe they saw this coming.
I don't know if they saw it coming, playing out in public this way. And this is, for a Boston organization, especially you know, in this Brad Stevens era, this last few years, you haven't had this kind of drama. And, you know, Kyrie was in Cleveland, and he was used to having this around there a lot with LeBron, and that was kind of part of the makeup, and LeBron thrived in it, and the organization thrived in it. But for the Celtics, with a lot of younger players on this team who haven't been through this and all the attention that it brings, especially today, being in New York, being at the Garden, playing the Knicks, and for a team that's struggling, it's not the perfect scenario for them, you know, to continue to try to right the group, but it's the reality, it's where we are. And Kyrie, like, you know, Boston knows they're in a fight to keep him. And at the end of the day, acquiring Anthony Davis, they believe is going to be a big part of that. But that's not something they can do until the season's over, as long as they have Kyrie on the roster.
Woj, fans everywhere, and by everywhere, I mean in Boston and LA, are thinking, they are putting their conspiracy theories together. The first thing I said was he's coming to LA. Look, I don't know. But listen, we are excited to find out that there is more to talk about in the NBA besides what's happening and where, in fact, Kyrie will be. Thank you so much for joining us to give us a little context to this latest situation. David, back to you.
All right, probably some people in Manhattan smiling at Kyrie's comments today, too. Let's talk about the Mavs and the Knicks. Mavs getting Kristaps Porzingis, of course, yesterday. Dream pick-and-roll partner for Luka Doncic. The Knicks get Dennis Smith Jr., a couple first-rounders, and the cap space to operate with this summer with all the big-time talent. Let's bring in our NBA front office insider, Bobby Marks, now. So Kyrie's comments today seem to play a little bit into the Knicks' court. They're going to be swinging from their heels, aggressively going after free agents. I would imagine that Kyrie's not going to go to the Knicks alone. There might need to be someone else there. So run us through potential guys, duos that the Knicks could get with the cap space they have.
Yeah, I think the best way to look at the trade yesterday is to break it into two parts. It's Kristaps Porzingis for Dennis Smith Jr., 2 first-round picks, and hope. And that hope is $71 million in cap space for a talent-rich free agent class. And that can get you 2 max players. It could get you potentially a player like Kyrie Irving if we slide him in here. That leaves you with $39.5 million. It also has room for a player like Kevin Durant. If you slide Durant in here, that gets you your 2 main guys. Now, here's the question that you have to ask Durant or Irving. Is this roster, as constructed, good enough to win right now compared to what you have in Golden State and what you have in Boston? And these are a lot of young, unproven players. Does that change if you get the #1 pick, possibly Zion Williamson? Maybe, but that is a big commitment for both players to come together and go to a New York team that's in the lottery right now.
Okay, and as you were telling me earlier, better get it done this summer because the talent isn't anywhere near as deep in 2020. So Knicks got to get something done now. Bobby Marks giving us the very latest there.
All right, David, thank you so much for that. Chiney Ngumake joining me right now on Coast to Coast. We got more basketball. So much happening so soon. So let's get right to it. Did you see the Lakers-Clippers last night?
I had to. LeBron James is back. Come on, Carrie.
He is back. So let's get to it. He's got a nice new jacket on, nice new suit, suited and booted. What happens? This is his first game since Christmas. Let's go straight to the fourth because it was crazy. Lakers lead by 6. Rondo drops it to Ingram. He shoots a 3, misses. LeBron there for the putback, and he's like, I'm back.
Yeah, he's back. Yeah, rough first 2 quarters for LeBron, but he did facilitate late and almost got a triple-double.
All right, you know what we need? A Steve Ballmer cam, do we not?
We definitely do. You know, Tobias Harris, he's playing like the all-star snub he truly is, Carrie.
He's feeling as if he's been snubbed, and so he's taking it out on everyone. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Did you just watch that possession on defense right there? Look at it. Clean strip.
All right, so look, the game is going to overtime. It was a tight one. It was back and forth, back and forth. LeBron can't, he's like, what? This makes no sense. So let's set it up here. LeBron, too, and I don't know if you know this, they call Lance Stevenson born ready. Why is that, Chiney?
Because he'll always be ready for the big shot, but this is Mr. Big Shot, that turnaround fadeaway, the hardest shot in basketball. But Lance Stevenson, he had a huge game. He's been great, a big boost off the bench, especially for deep.
Born ready. I didn't know that. So anyway, Clippers are only down by 3. We got just about 2 seconds left. Can they get it done? No. Rondo is saving it here. What does he do?
Yeah, what is you doing, baby? Like, you got to get a shot off.
All right, Lou Will can get it done. Chiney, let's talk about the bigger issue. But before we do that, here's LeBron.
I'm not feeling, particularly great right now. I'm definitely ecstatic about being back out there with my guys and getting a great road win versus a team that we're, kind of, climbing, in the playoff race. But, after being out 5 weeks, I'm feeling it right now. I wish I could click my shoes together and be home right now in my bed. So, but it's great to be back out there. I'm like 80% right now, but it felt good to be 80 and just to be back on the floor and put on the Lakers uniform again. That's what it's all about. That's when I'm here, and happy to be back.
80%, 40 minutes, he pointed that out. I understand that LeBron inspires the players, and a win is a win, but do you think realistically LeBron can sustain that type of effort with hopes of reaching the postseason?
Oh, yes. With LeBron James back, I really think that this Lakers team can make it to the playoffs. And I know, Carrie, you especially, and every Lakers fan out there, has some serious trust issues with these Lakers because of how they played when LeBron James was out. Those 17 games, they went 6-4-11, and they, for lack of a better term, they were a hot mess of inconsistency. But guess what? LeBron James is back. And they're only 1 game back of the 8th position in the West for the playoffs. So with LeBron back, he playing his best basketball. Most people, it would take them a couple games to find their rhythm. Well, it only took him 2 quarters, and he finished with, 24, 14, and 9. And also, Brandon Ingram just came off a career high. So this is a Lakers team trending in the right direction. I still have them in the playoffs.
Okay, I do have trust issues. Thank you for pointing that out. LeBron, again, played 40 minutes in his first game back, and it was the 5th time he's done so this season. Chiney Gumake, thank you so much for being here.
We out.